Good evening, everybody, and this is Debbie Perkins of the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show, and I'm giggling a little bit right now because before the show we had a little bit of a laugh. Sometimes it gets crazy behind the scenes here at the show, but we have Barry on the. I'm
On
gonna
yeah,
watch your name,
you're cool. It's all right. Last name is Onody.
Onody. You know
Oh
what? And
yes,
I said it 3 times, just going, "What is it? What is it?" You know, I spelling and the way things pronunciate totally different.
you got well.
No,
That's Hungarian. So old
yeah.
country would be Onody, and here in the U.S. Canada we always went Onody.
Okay. Now, what is that? English or
No,
French?
Hungarian.
Oh, nice. That's
Yes.
interesting. That's an interesting.
And I'm always hungry, so I guess it goes hand in hand.
That's great. That's great. And I heard and read somewhere that you were quite a joker. Everybody get Barry is an actor. Barry, you've done a lot more than just acting.
I have, yeah, I
You
have.
really have. And you're not just your average actor either. You have a range that is so wide. It sort of took me by surprise.
Oh, thank you.
So that's a great thing. That is amazing. But I want to ask, where'd you grow up? And when you were growing up, how did you become interested in film work?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I was born and raised on a working farm in a bit of a ranch up in southern Alberta. And if anybody comes from a rural community or Midwestern states, they had a real cool club out there called 4-H, heart, health, hands, and head. And it was all about learning to do improv and learning to do public speaking and also learning how to take care of animals and stuff like that. So that's where I got my first taste of standing up in front of an audience is when I was a real young guy, really young, looking after cattle and doing improv. And you would stand up in front of an audience and they'd give you a little piece of paper and on it would be a word and then you had to improv for 60 seconds. And it was wild to say the least. But as a young guy, you just don't have any inhibition, so you just kind of let her go and you have some fun. So that's where it all started at. And then in junior high and elementary and even going into high school, I did theater. And but born and raised in southern Alberta, there's not a lot of theater up there. There wasn't at the time. And so my dad said to me, "Young man, you need to get an education." So I went and got what's called an engineering diploma from a college up in Canada, and I hit the oil patch working in about 1978. So I'm really
Wow.
dating myself now, Debbie.
Wow. No, I mean, like, that's really hard work, though.
Oh yeah, that was hard work.
Oil, yeah. And that's like, is it they drill the oil from the ground?
Yeah, you bet. I was what was called a
Really?
reservoir engineer, and so I
Really?
was one of the gentlemen that figured out how much oil was in the ground and that kind of stuff. And
Wow.
then we did some drilling and we did some pipelining and all that stuff. And I did almost 14, 15 years in the oil industry, all the while working on an acting career as well.
That's crazy. That's hard. That's really hard to do both, to juggle both, and have a family.
And have a family, yeah, correct. I didn't get married until
That's another job.
1982. That's another job. That's a full-time job.
It is. It is. And that's really great, though, because I mean, to be able to, and you did educate yourself.
Pardon me?
You took acting classes and ended up with a love story.
I did. Yes, I did. I actually met my wife in acting school, and she didn't want anything to do with me.
Oh, really?
Because I showed up in my best leather jacket and my T-shirt, and
You,
this is back in the 70s. Now you got or early 80s, and so I thought I
okay.
was pretty slick looking.
I'm
But
visualizing this, Barry, because
yeah,
you are a
yeah.
great
And then
I'm
we
visualizing it. So
we ended up we
you're
ended up on a job together about
you're looking
like.
like a guy. Did you get
Pardon
off a
me.
bike? Did you get off a
Well,
motorcycle?
no. We actually ended up working a job together for a disc jockey. It was in Calgary at the time,
Wow.
and it was on a light rail transit train station. And we just happened to be walking across. And at that time, I would come from work, and I was in three-piece suit, with a tie and all that stuff. And she said everything just kind of slowed down for her, and it kind of slowed down for me. And we just started talking, and we got along really great. And then she found out I was 5 years younger than her, and she went, "Oh no, I can't date some guy 5 years younger than me." And so, we became really good friends for about a year. And then when we took the step in 1982, we just dove into it full time. We'll be 39 years here in December now.
Unbelievable. That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sleep with one eye open, and she hasn't killed me yet, so I guess I must be doing something good.
You must be. There's no hammer beside the bed. You're doing well.
I'm doing well. That's right.
You're doing well. But you stay so active, and that's the thing. So now you got started pretty early in your career. You were young.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was probably at the time I would have been, well, this was about 81, 82 when I started. And so I'd have been 21, 22 years of age, and not a lot of opportunity up in Calgary. What we had to rely on back then was, any of the bigger productions coming out of LA for smaller speaking roles, because all the major speaking roles were cast at that time. But, I got fortunate enough. I worked in a couple of shows. One was called Rad. And still today, I have a couple of friends on Rad through Facebook that seen me and they went, "We saw you in Rad years ago." And that's very cool. And then another movie was called Hyper Sapien. Those were produced by Talia Shire back then. And Hal Needham, I think, directed one of them, if I remember right. And then the other chap that directed the Hyper Sapien was one of the editors from the Bond series years ago. He's gone. He's gone now. May rest in peace.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was, now, what was People from Another Star? That's the same movie, but were they aliens?
Well, so Hyper Sapien was about a group of aliens that came down to Earth, and Rad was all about BMX racers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really wild. And then, I did,
you must have loved that. That's high tension.
It was good. It was my first break back in, that was probably 84, 85, where I had a speaking role in a major movie. So that was good. And I actually became, I did a lot of commercial work up in Canada before I moved down to the U.S. And probably to today's date, I've probably got somewhere close to, between Canada and the U.S., at least 75 commercials to my credit, which is pretty good,
You're amazing, though.
I just keep, well, I know you. Thanks for checking me out on IMDb. That was awesome.
It did. It was worth it because I'm like, I can't believe you're the guy that I'm talking to tonight. I am getting a back down. Mark, can you check that?
He's going to have to fix it on his end. It's still over modulation. He needs to bring it down another 2 notches.
A little bit of it now. I'm getting it, but is it still good? We're still heard pretty good. Is Teresa in the audience?
Yeah, she's in there and she says hi.
Can you let me know if we sound too over?
Nope, she said there was a little bit of an echo.
Okay. All right. Well, at least we know. So, but yes, no, I'm listening to this, Barry, because you are amazing in commercials.
Thank you.
And I'm very impressed because I would buy the products. But you also do a lot of medical.
Yes.
And people with ailments, and you're really great at that too. So, but you also played a doctor in one of them.
I did. Yes, I did. And then, I did the Rexulti commercial about a year and a half ago. That one was a nice spot. That one ran, throughout the U.S. I think that even ran into Canada and stuff. So that ran for a while. It was a nice little spot. I've been fortunate. It comes and goes in cycles. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 will come, and then there won't be anything for a little bit, and then 2 or 3 will come, and there won't be anything for a little bit, and then you just got to keep head down. You just got to believe that it's always going to be there, and never give up on your dreams.
But in those meantimes, you're still doing things to keep yourself moving forward.
Oh yeah, I studied with a great lady for quite a few years by the name of Judy Kerr out of Los Angeles. She helped me really get my stuff together, and I really think that as I've got older, you get a lot wiser as you get older.
Is that what they call it, Barry? Getting wiser. I'm just wondering, being getting older myself. I just wonder.
Well, you
That's
know
so,
what
it's so funny.
I think what it is you get. I think as we all get older, maybe we're not quite as, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? And it's more a matter of just, I want to do the best that I can do and deliver the best that I can deliver. And I know that today I'm more sensitive and more on the mark than I was probably 20 years ago. And I thought I was pretty good 20 years ago. But today I just think that the experience teaches you it's okay to let go. It's okay to, be natural. It's okay to show your feelings. I mean, that's what life's about, right?
It is. It makes you more human while you're in the film.
Correct. And I've
Because
got
you
a
want to
couple
be
of kids that
believed
keep me
and you
centered.
want people to take your care. You want to watch yourself and go, I can't believe that's me.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
I did a part for Locked Up Abroad about 5-6 years ago. And that was a TV series shot out of London, England.
saw the reel for that.
Yeah, and I played Frankie Collada, who was a mobster out of Chicago that moved to Vegas, and he was part of the Spacho mob and stuff like that. And I watched him. I watched his tapes. I took some time to learn his mannerisms and stuff like that. And we flew over to Cape Town, South Africa, of all places. It looked like it was in Vegas,
Wow.
but that's where we shot it, and it was
Really?
it was great. It was a great experience. It was a very great experience. I worked with a great director by the name of Peter Norrie out of England, and he's a phenomenal director, phenomenal editor, and we had a lot of fun putting it together. So yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, it's great when things work out with the crew and the staff. Everybody works together and it becomes a big team, almost like a family. Because I know a lot of actors, they have the same people. They like the same people. I think it's just because when it works, it works.
Correct. Well, and then that someone's going to be able to walk on and get the job done and walk off. And,
Yeah.
There's an old saying in all industries, time is money, right?
That's what they say.
And time is money, let me tell you.
Unless you go into Wall Street. And then
that's right.
And then it's up and down.
Then it's something different, Yeah.
Exactly. But that's kind of like a thing though, because you could play a Wall Street guy, you could play a cowboy.
Yes.
You are that versatile. You look great in a 3-piece suit. You also look great in chaps.
Thank you. Well, not a lot of people know it, but when I'm born and raised on the farm, my dad and I used to team rope and calf rope. And every weekend as I was in high school, we jumped into a motorhome and a trailer and we hauled the horses around. We followed a Chinook circuit, it was called, and the Southern Circuit, and I team roped. I did the heeling, my dad did the heading, and I have no problem getting onto a horse and riding it. So that's one of the good things that I would love to do a Western at some point here, because I got my beard out now, and slap a hat on me, I look pretty wild.
It'll be perfect for you. Really?
Mm-hmm, thank you.
What would you want to do? Would you want to be like the town drunk, or would you like to be a sheriff? What kind of a position would you want in that old town?
For me,
be like Mr. Barkley.
I want to look like the guy that you think is the real good guy, and then he turns out to just be a real mean custard. You never see it coming, right? You just, maybe he's
you get an innocent face, Barry. So you turn in mean, but you have an innocent face, but that doesn't mean that. I mean, come on, you just have a Candyman face. That's all.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. I
could be the rancher that is trying to take over the whole countryside. And people never see it coming because they think he's such a nice guy.
Yeah. You got bodies in the backyard, in the basement. Yeah. Under the kitchen floorboards. Yeah. There's somebody under the rug over there. Yeah, that's great. That's right. And half of those stories can be true somewhere. Right. But that shows that you have the versatility. And have you ever played military?
I had a brief chance here just about a month and a half ago. My manager got me into a cameo role in a nice little short movie that I think is very important. It's called PTSD, A Soldier's Revenge. And it really deals with the fact that, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. And so I had a nice little cameo spot at the end of the film to be able to play a part of a veteran that's sitting in a meeting, discussing the issues that they're all faced with, and they're all faced with a lot of issues. And so to work on that meant a lot. My son-in-law was in the military, so to be able to work on that film and pay homage to him and everybody else and every time I meet someone that's been in the military, I take the time to say thanks for your service, because that's important.
Well, my producer's been in the service, so Mark, thanks for your service.
Mark, thanks for your service, buddy.
Very welcome.
Yep. That's important.
Yes, and you know what? I like Mark believe that this is important as well, because a lot of soldiers did go home and didn't get the homage they deserve. They didn't get the care that they deserve.
Correct.
So there's a lot of suffering, and for a group of people to bring something like that to light to help us, the general public, understand that these people are suffering.
Yes.
But why do we have to go to that link? That makes me wonder. Like, shouldn't we already know this?
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject, isn't it? Right? I mean, that's a whole nother subject, and I think the more that, and I think it's an awareness. It has to become an awareness where everyone can finally understand what they've gone through. It's just something that none of us will ever, unless you're in that situation, you just can't fathom it.
Because every situation's different. Because they go to locations, and everything's different. And warfare is not fair. There's nothing fair about it.
Nope.
So I thank you for doing that, because you're helping our veterans just by being a part of the project.
Yeah,
that's amazing. You also did another one. Now, what is Warrior of 8 Flags? Was that another type of military?
Which one was that now, Debbie?
Warrior of 8 Flags.
Oh, Warrior of 8 Flags. That one is just getting ready to be shot. We're going to shoot that in Finland, Los Angeles, and in Hong Kong. And that's to deal more with the Chinese triads and that part of the world. I play a CIA agent. So we're just getting ready to get that one shot. So I think that's going to be very good. And it's going to have some nice international flavor to it. And there's a great gentleman by the name of Stephen Chang that's helped put that all together and produce it out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And he's actually one of the main actors in it, but it's his company as well that's doing the production behind it. So it's going to be, I think, a very strong movie. We look forward to getting it into the can and getting it out there to the world.
That's awesome, Barry.
Thank you. Yeah. It's I'm looking forward to it. And again, and I wanted to play the CIA agent, so I think that's going to be very cool, and we'll see where we take it. I'll leave that up to everybody so they can see it when we get it up in film.
Oh, absolutely. And you've been doing pretty cool things. I still hear myself in an echo. Maybe I should turn my volume down.
Do you think it's your volume?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Try something.
We'll fix that. We'll fix it on the break. The break's coming up in 5 minutes.
All right. The break's coming up in a few minutes, guys. We'll get that double talk. Hey, I'll be okay with double talking. Just don't show me my doppelganger.
There you go.
But you did some really cool movies that brought you back to your type of roots, which was Good News, Oklahoma.
Yep, that was a nice little short that we did. That was a few years ago. I play a producer director on that film. That was a fun little shoot to work on. We also worked on a one called oh my God, it's I have so many of them now. I've been fortunate.
You have a lot of movies.
So, and I go back every once in a while. I look at my resume and I go, wow, is that possible? So you just keep knocking away. You just keep knocking them down. Right now, I've got a lot on the slate coming up here over the next couple of years. But you know what? There's always room for more, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy talking about what you've done, because it shows all the different characters you've been able to play. What have you been your favorite? What is your ultimate favorite character so far, hands down?
So far, hands down. Probably the ultimate one was to be able to I really enjoyed playing Frankie Collada, the mobster out of Chicago. That one was cool because I had to really kind of learn his mannerisms and kind of how he walked a little bit and how he talked, and so I really enjoyed that. There's a movie that's coming up here. I'm sure you're going to bring it up after the break, called X: The
Oh,
End
we're
Time.
gonna. I got heat under my collar about that movie.
Oh, you do it? Oh, okay.
I do, because it's awesome,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's great people involved. And we will get back to that with the break. So cliffhanger, people. We have a little cliffhanger. But now what was Hunting Ground? That
Hunting
was back
Ground,
in 2009.
2009. That was a young chap Matthew Hall that directed that. Great guy out of Orange County, out of Southern California. It's about a movie of aliens and stuff, and I play the part of a general that's chatting about what needs to be done in order to save the circumstances and help bring a closure to it. So it's a nice little cameo at the beginning of the film, and I've always the gentleman that I took my acting lessons from originally was a graduate out of RADA, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and he happened to live in Calgary of all places, but he was from London, England originally. And he said, Barry, things to remember that if you're in a cameo, there's a couple good spots to be. It's either in the very beginning because they remember you from the very beginning, or at the very end where you really stick it to them at the very end. So he said those are two great spots. And Matthew's film, I was right in the very beginning, which was kind of nice,
That is wonderful. And that's true, I think. I think that's a true statement.
Yep, yep. That, or unless you got the lead role or you got a good supporting role where you're all the way through it. Cameos are nice,
There's there's that miracle.
That's always the miracle,
But you know what? It's still great to be a part of amazing projects, and it does look like you got to be a part of some really cool stuff.
Yes, I have, and what I kind of like about it is that I've always kept my fingers in it. You and I have chatted a little bit, and being married 39 years, I've got two children. One of them works in the industry. He's a music composer and he does movie scores. My daughter got me down to LA because she wanted to work entertainment, but I'm actually with her right now up in the state of Washington. We're just getting ready for her to bring our first grandson and our first grandbaby into the world. So I've been up here in Washington for the last 4 weeks, if you guys can believe it, cleaning blackberry bushes off the farm and helping her get all ready for the baby that's ready to come into the world, which is our first grandson. So we're really stoked and excited about that.
I wish I had a parent like you. When I was having kids, oh my gosh, that's me. Yeah. You're awesome. Congratulations on being a grandpa. You're going to be a papa. You're going to be a grandpa. What are they going to call you?
I think you could probably call me grandpa. And that's okay.
You'd make a papa.
Yeah. I still feel like, I still feel like I'm young, Debbie. I think, well, my wife would say my brain quit working at the age of 18, so, but I still feel young. But I think I look pretty young yet too, except for the gray. The hair's gone a little gray over the years and white, but that started coming in when I was in my 20s, so I think that's just
because we're going to take a real quick break, Barry. We'll be right back, everybody, and we'll talk more about the stuff that Mr. Barry's doing.
Sounds good, Debbie.
Welcome back to the show, everybody, and we're having a great time this evening. Thank you, Barry, for staying with us.
Oh, you're welcome. I've enjoyed being here. It's a pleasure chatting to you. It's a beautiful day up here in Washington State, and I know you're over on the East Coast, so it's got to be beautiful over there. And I'll tell you what, any day to be above ground is a great day.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one, because you never know what can happen from day to day. And I believe in miracles.
I do too. I do.
Believe great things can happen. Just got to be patient and wade through the nonsense. But that's what happens when you get older too, is you learn that, hey, if I'm just patient, things will work out.
Well, I kind of joke a little bit that, I've been at this since 82, so that's damn near 40 years when you think about it. But and so at any moment now, I should become an overnight sensation after 40 years, right?
40 years. But you love it, though. That's the thing. You're doing something that you love. So it's not even like it's work, but it's also doing something you love to do. And you're natural.
Correct.
You're natural.
Thank you. And, well, for me, family is really very important. And so through the years, when the babies came along and my kids came along, so you got to make a living, right? So at times I've done other things in life to make, you got to do it to in order to make things happen. But I've worked at what I've had to work at in order to pursue my passion. And I've never strayed from that passion. I've always stayed the narrow. My goal was one day to eventually end up down in California, and I ended up, and I'm there now, and I've been there now for almost 20 years, and
Wow.
and I'm loving it. And I'm living, I'm living the dream because I'm being able to work as an actor, and yes, I'm doing some other jobs in order to support family, but you do what you got to do, and I keep my doors always open so that when the jobs come along, I can do them, and I can do them very, very well, and I can deliver exactly what I need to deliver in order so that it looks great on screen.
You've done period films too,
Yes, yep.
and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. What is your favorite part about doing a period film? Is it the costumes, or just kind of taking you back to another time?
It's a bit of it's the costuming, but it's also it's to be somewhere totally different, in a different time, and what would they be doing at that time, and how would you react to it? So you really got to set your mind to, well, where you are at that point in time, and where you were going into that scene, and where you are at that minute, and where you're going after that, and it's a period piece, so it's totally different than where we're at right now. So I think it gives you some poetic license to kind of dig in and have some fun with it. And I think that's half the battle. Is, I mean, you got to have fun while you're doing this. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing it for, right?
I agree, and the fact that you are able to jump from one century to another is pretty amazing. And
Yeah,
what they're able to do with cameras nowadays and editing, it's fantastic.
it is.
Um, it really is. And excuse me. And you were let me see. Now, who inspires you, Barry? Who did you grow up looking up to as far as an actor goes? And they could be dead or alive.
Um, there's a couple. One of them's gone now, but he's always been my classic go-to Western guy, John Wayne. And that was he was always a classic. Clint Eastwood, I look up to. I mean, I think he's phenomenal in terms of his directing style. I'd love to work with him one day. But he has just the way he does his films is just right on the mark. There's a number of actors that I've watched over the years that I love watching. There's movies that no matter how many times I've watched them, I'll go back and watch them every time. It's because of the way they were shot and because of the
Yeah.
guys that were in it. Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer from Tombstone. Phenomenal film. And whenever it comes on, I want to watch it. It's just one of those pieces that, they probably didn't think was going to last as long as it did. But boy, I tell you, that film lives on and on and on. And so, I mean, I like all genres, and I like to watch good work, and good storytelling, because that's really what it's all about, right?
Have you done a Christmas special, Barry? Because I think you could pass for a Santa Claus with the white hair.
I'd love to do a Christmas special. You know what?
I think you would be a great Santa.
My wife and I have talked about it a number of times. I'd love to work on some Hallmark shows.
I think that would be great, actually, because you fit right in there as well. But also, I've seen you be a stunt man in one of your reels. You're getting beat up pretty bad.
Yep. Yeah. I
It
did. I
looks
walked
real.
into a 2x4.
That man, it really looks like that man is beating the living daylights out of you, Barry. And I wonder, like, how do you feel after doing such a serious scene? Of course, you're biting down on blood packs, and you're having to, add the blood to you. What's that feel like to you, like when you're done?
Well, that was an interesting film, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, we had to choreograph it and stuff like that in order to just make sure that I didn't take the hit, but it looks like I took the hit.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
look,
you do look like
I mean,
I'm gonna
it just
kill you.
yeah. I mean, that was we got that down in I think it was 1 or 2 takes that we got it in, which was really good considering. What took a little bit longer was getting the tooth to fall out the right way. The blood.
Yeah.
It was funny that we did that deal that day, and then I went and watched my son perform. He was sitting principal bass for an orchestra in Santa Monica, and I showed up, and my wife was already there, and she's rubbing the back of my head, and she said, "Oh my God, Barry, you got blood all over the back of your head." I couldn't get the
Oh,
back of my head cleaned up, so I still had blood on the back of my hair and all that kind of stuff. But that was interesting. We had to really block that one out and choreograph it, and I worked for a young guy by the name of Theo. He was out of Loyola Marymount. Great actor, great guy. He's developed into a really good friend, and we just had to really we did some good choreography on it, and we spent the time on the production end on the front end to make sure that that we didn't have to spend a lot of time in front of camera. We'd make sure we had it right before we stepped in front of the camera, and I'm a big believer in that. Time is money. I mentioned that earlier, and if there's a lot you can do before you step in front of the camera, because then that way you're prepared and the director knows you're prepared, then I mean you can knock this thing out pretty quick. And he did. I mean, the gentleman looked like he was kicking the bejesus out of me when I was
he
down on the
does.
ground there.
Really does. I mean, I felt bad for you. I'm like, I hope somebody patches Barry up.
Yeah.
He really was that convincing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Have you ever
that
had
was
to
fun. I
do that
enjoyed that.
before, Barry? Have you ever had to take a licking, or have you ever given a beating?
No, never given a beating like in real life or on film. I'm a pretty mellow kind of a guy when it comes to it.
But
Uh,
if you're in a bar scene, and in the Wild Wild West, you have to fight
you got to
in
fight.
the bar.
Yep,
Yes. So you might as
not a
well
problem.
start it. Go in the bar and start the fight.
That's right, not a problem. We just,
That would be funny. Well, because
that would be
everything's
very
fake
fun.
that anyways, but
Well, and it would be again just let's set the parameter up. Here's the end. Here's the beginning. This is what we want to have result out of it, and then let's have some fun around it. Yeah, and it's got to be real, right? It's got to look
yeah,
real.
yes. And you know what? I still like cowboy movies. I grew up on them, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for 'em always. Because who doesn't like a good cowboy movie?
I was reading an awesome cowboy book when my son was born, and that's how I got his name because the main character's name was Chance, and I thought that's a real cool name, and that's what I named my son. Was is Chance, and so I went, wow, that's cool. So I've always loved westerns. I've always liked them, and growing up in southern Alberta, we didn't have a lot of TV coming our way. What came our way because we were very close to the U.S. border where we lived was we caught all the U.S. channels, so catching all the U.S. channels out of Great Falls and those areas, we were able to catch a lot of good movies coming up out of the U.S. And of course, that was back in that era where John Wayne was doing a lot of movies and stuff like that, and Rio Lobo and True Grit and all that good stuff.
That was back when you had to get up and change the channel, or you
Well,
had your
yeah,
kid.
right. Now today you got a remote control, so you get lazy, you don't have to move, right?
That's so true. I think the only thing you have to get up for is to go to the refrigerator and get a drink.
That's right, and maybe it was actually good to have a TV that didn't have a remote control because it made you get up every once in a while.
It kept us in shape.
That's right. So very cool.
But
Very cool.
that's so cool. That is so cool. Now you got a chance to do more things, but can we briefly talk about the movies that the movie that I want to talk about is X the End. X the End Time.
Yes. Yeah,
What
that's
an amazing movie done by Sean G.K. and
yes.
Max Oliver.
Yep.
And you are in this movie with some great stars.
Yeah, I
I
have
know
the great fortune of being in there in one of the lead roles, and
yeah.
I'm really stoked about it.
Were you in with Costers?
Pardon me?
Was you in with Costas in any scenes?
No, I wasn't. I was supposed to go over for the trailer, and then things just didn't work out, so I didn't make it over there. But I ended up doing the voiceover. If you've seen the trailer, I did
Nice.
the voiceover for it, so that's on there. But I didn't get a chance to work with Costas on it. But I am looking forward to working with everybody here as soon as we get ready to roll on it. The character is a very interesting character. I play Lou Diot, and it's kind of funny because you in the beginning of the film, people will notice that some of the people make fun of Lou because his last name is spelled Diot, and they want to call him idiot instead of Diot, because it's had an I on the front of it. Because Lou is
That's funny.
he's not analytical. He's kind of like borderline analytical. He's kind of like an astrology specialist, and his head is so deep into the stars and stuff that people think that he's not really on this planet. But you're going to see a guy go from someone that is deep into the stars to realizing what's going on to someone that really wants to live. And you're going to watch this character transform into somebody who's got some huge power behind him. So I'm really excited about bringing him to life on the film and to do some great things with him.
Well, I know that Sean GK has put a lot of effort and a lot of work into this movie.
Yes.
And they shot it in Turkey to start.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy. And Costas, I've met Costas. He's such a nice guy.
Very cool.
To have him starring in the film, and I believe, gosh, who else is in that? Frankie Lancaster, he was on the show.
Yep.
He's in that. I'm trying to think.
There's a young girl that's really coming up and coming. Wilma Els is in it.
Oh,
Alex
really?
Furness. I think Kristen Lokinen is in it. It's going to have quite a large cast on it. It's going to be very international, and I know we're going to be shooting a lot of it in probably Nevada, but there's probably be some other parts of the world. It might even end up back in Turkey for some of it because of some scenes that need to be done there.
Yes.
Yeah, and Sean, I know you interviewed Sean and stuff, and it's going to be I think it's going to be like a five-part story. So whether or not it'll be along the lines of Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, it's going to be a major epic production, and it's really about the end of the world and what we're all faced with and how do we deal with it.
Yeah, and how to live in an apocalypse.
Yes, in a what's the word, in a post-apocalyptic world. Yeah. So.
And you wonder about that because of the times we're in. Because it's very possible that.
Well, we live in a strange time, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We definitely do.
We definitely do. It's a lot of different things going on in the world and a lot of stuff happening. And I always tell my family now, there's no such a thing as normal anymore. We're all moving into what's probably called a new normal. And who knows what the heck that's going to be.
Yeah. We don't know.
No.
It's just whatever happens. But it is great to get back to work. I'm sure you're excited to be happy and be back working after COVID-19.
Yes. It was very, very quiet there for a while. And what's interesting is from my end of it, in terms of auditioning and whatnot, so much of what I do now is I use a blue screen or a green screen, and I shoot it out of a studio in my own house when I'm doing auditions. And I made the choice to live in Orange County when I moved down to California, and so through all the years when I auditioned, it always entailed at least a 2 or 3 hour turnaround, which is not a big deal. I made the commitment to do it, so I did it. Today, though, it's a different world. Casting directors want to be able to, go through the initial stuff with tapes and whatnot. And I've been fortunate to do a couple of national commercials just by, doing the auditions out of my house at home. And then we actually shot, a couple of the commercials right in my home. So technology is kind of a cool thing, right?
It's really great because you were able to execute a scene and have the quiet of your home.
Correct. Yep.
I think
it was very interesting. Not to take the lid off or let but I had the camera set up and the lighting set up and the computer was right there, and I had the director on Zoom with me, and I mean we just walked through it, boom, 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 and it was
That's
very,
actually
very, very exciting, very neat to do it that way.
Yeah, that's kind of genius.
Yeah, it really is. So I mean, I'm looking forward to the next couple of years. There's some projects coming down the pike, I think, that are going to be phenomenal. It's going to be very, very busy. I've got a really, a bang up management team, Diana Carter and Arcus and Ybots. They are phenomenal behind me. She is just a powerhouse, and I think she's a force to be reckoned with. And she never gives up, and she never quits pushing. She's just I'm just so excited to have her behind me,
It is awesome when you have good people that support your career.
Yes. Yeah, it makes all the
You
difference.
work really hard. You work really hard. This is a lot of years involved, a lot of knowledge, and in between that, you've had to have fun, Barry. What are some
I've had
exciting
fun.
things you've been able to do in your lifetime that, you could work around your schedules?
I've had it's been a lot of fun, and I'm going to say that's still going to be a lot more fun because the ride's not over yet, baby.
It's really not. It's not. It's just getting started for you.
Thank you. I believe so as well, and I always have good hopes, and I just think if I just keep delivering good work, the next job leads to the next job, and I was born and raised. You're only as good as your last work, right? So you better make sure your last work was good. Yeah, and then that'll take you to your next job and the next job and the next job. So, and it's all about bringing that character to life and having some fun with it. And of course, networking makes a big difference in this world too.
It does, but you're really great at it. And so, what type of characters that would you like to try playing? Have you ever played a killer?
No, but I would like to. It's one of those ones where, again, they wouldn't see it coming.
No, they won't. They look at you and think you're Santa Claus.
That's right. And that in itself is enough to put a nice little twist to something. It's that twist. It's that cliffhanger. It's that, well, I didn't see that coming. Where in the hell did that come from? So, I've thought about it. It's that, or there's some books that I like reading. I mean, espionage and stuff dealing with, some of the things that have gone on in different countries with war and whatnot, and CIA and agents
like
and secret service and all that stuff.
Yeah, like a secret agent.
Yep, that'd be cool stuff.
Like James Bond. It's kind of like a James Bond.
Kind of like it. I do get that every once in a while. When some people look at my picture every once in a while and say, "Yeah, I see a bit of Sean Connery there," and I'm going, "Well, yeah, thank you."
It's a compliment. You got to take them when you can get them there.
That's right. No, you do.
You hang on to those compliments.
You got to be learned to. You have to learn to be humble too, right?
You do. You do, because if you don't, you lose your ground. You need to stay grounded.
Yeah. My wife keeps me grounded pretty good.
She does. I'm grateful for her because she gave up your night with her for us. So I want to say thanks to her. She's a lovely lady, and it's so wonderful. Now, do you bring her when you do some of your actings?
Some of the time, she didn't come with me to South Africa, but she's been with me. I mean, right from the very beginning. She started out, like I told you. I mean, I met her on a like an acting class in a movie set years ago. But she was part of the Nashville Songwriters Association back in the 80s and 90s and wrote songs and stuff like that. And so our whole family has always had our fingers into entertainment, and so she understands. She understands the deal, right?
Yeah.
She understands that sometimes we all have to go and do some stuff, and she knows that if I have to go away and do a film somewhere, she's good for it. She understands. And if I can bring her with me, boy, I'd love to do that.
Yes. Well, it's important for you to be a whole person.
Correct.
If you're not able
to spend a little bit more time in Washington once my grandbaby comes,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When you're trying to accomplish your goals, that would be hard to have somebody stopping you.
Correct. I've never let anything get in my way, Debbie, of going after my goals. Sometimes you end up taking a little different path every once in a while to get to the end result, but sometimes when you take that different path, even though it's not what you expected, it actually is for the better because you learn something along the way that helps you more so down the road. And that's why I think today I'm a way stronger actor than I was. And I was, not to say that blowing my horn, it was, great before, but I just think today I'm in a better shape because of all the life experiences.
That you get that break from covert so that you could collect all of your thoughts and all your education. Your brain was able to adjust to all of this.
Correct.
Wonderful.
And that's all stuff that you use when you're working. Because you got to be able to, you got to be able to use it. You got to be able to think on your feet, and if you can't, then you're dead in the water.
True. Have you ever played a psycho?
No, I haven't. Not a psycho. But you know
Do you
what? My
think
hair
you
is
could
just
play
about long
somebody
enough
like
now that if we pushed it out there, I probably could.
Ooh. You can have Einstein hair.
Yeah. Do you see that in me? Do you see a psycho in me?
I think it would be a stretch, but I think it would be a challenge.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be cool. Because, well, if you're going to be in any horror movies or anything like that, most of the killers are crazy psychos.
Yep.
So.
Well, and again, there's that guy that you never think would do it. That he's just that guy, and all of a sudden he's a little strange, right?
Exactly. We don't see it coming like, oh, he's a decent looking guy. He's not going to hurt nobody.
Not going to hurt nobody,
No, not at all. He's inviting you over for soup.
That's right. Yeah, what kind of soup, right?
You soup. You're going to be in the soup.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's so funny.
So true.
So awesome. So awesome. Now, would you like to do some TV series, or do you want to kind of work more towards some higher end movies?
Well, I don't want to be greedy or anything like that, but boy, I'd love to do it all. I really would,
If you're not greedy, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. You got to, you got to have hope. You got to have passion. You got to have goals. And I'd love to do a TV series that would, really make an impact on the world. So, and that could be anything along the lines of, be it a Law and Order kind of a deal. I've always liked that series. I mean, there was some interesting, every week, new stories every day, new stories coming out, and to be a lead character, a main character in that, where you're always recurring and you're helping develop those plot lines. That's great, So yeah, I'd love to work a TV series that would keep me at home more often, right?
I think so.
Maybe. And then being able to do on the off time the movies would be just, I think that's the cat's meow. I think that's a Canadian term, the cat's meow,
That's adorable.
So, but yeah, no, I'm open, Debbie.
Great. Yes, Barry, this is great. I'm so happy for you. It does sound like things are working in your favor. And this year is going to be a big year for you.
Yes, it is. With X the end time coming, and the sounds of it is the way Sean's got it working. Next year is probably we'll probably in sequence shoot the 4 other stories.
Yeah.
As well. It's going to be it'll be very busy, and then from that work will come new work, and it's just going to be. I think it'll be a snowball effect or a domino effect.
Now I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could play a superhero or a villain, which one would it be and why?
Superhero.
Or a villain. Could be a villain too.
Could be a villain too, right?
Yes.
Could I be either one?
Yes.
Could I be both?
Wanna? I mean, there's no rules.
You know, you just
There's no
never know.
rules.
Well, I mean, a superhero to me would be, I think that'd be pretty cool because then I want to stand for something where kids would look up to you and say, well, that superhero's pretty cool. He did this and this and this, and he saved me. He did this for the world. I mean, Superman was always a very cool deal. I mean, they got that locked up pretty tight and they're very cool. Villain wise, there's a lot of really, really probably bad people in the world. It'd be a matter of just trying to find one of those that I think would be worthwhile bringing to the screen to where there'd be a story that could be told about it and maybe something could be learned from it,
A villain vigilante
Yeah.
turns good guy. Bad guy turns good guy.
Yeah.
It's always one or the other. So
One or
that's
the other, and right,
and
the
that would be.
circumstances of life sometimes dictate which way you go sometimes.
It really does.
But you got to have morals and ethics.
Yeah. Now, where can people get in touch with you, Barry? Where can people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me anytime through my agent, Diana Carter, Arceus and Ybot. So you can always reach out to me through IMDb, and you can also reach me on Facebook at any time through my name.
I suggest everybody that wants to look at Barry, check out the video reels he has on the IMDb. They're extremely professionally done, and I recommend that you look at that when you are looking at Barry, because Barry, you're really great.
Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, that's the best place. And again, it's just my name. If you just Google Barry Onody, Onody, IMDb, I'll come up, and then you can drop down onto the reels and stuff. And that's the easiest way to find me. And then, I always have a social presence too on Facebook.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you had the time to come on and join us, share your awesome journey with us.
I mean, that went fast, didn't it? Holy smoly.
Well, it really does. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. And Barry, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed chatting to you. Mark, it was a pleasure. I know I only got to chat to you a couple seconds, but it was just a pleasure to talk with you, Debbie, and to chat with everybody out there. And I look forward to doing this again at some point.
Sounds great to me.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.